schemes seem to give us an awful lot of trouble. It's kind of hard to turn the ball over against a zone defense, but we figured out a way to do that tonight. And I think that was our Achilles heel in the first half. Second half, I thought we went smaller and contained the dribble a little bit better. And we were able to get some stops and got out in transition. But once we got into the half court, I just didn't think that we drove the ball very well. We were extremely tentative, unlike the way we've been at times this year. I still think that that's part of the development that we're doing. I mean, we went to several different types of schemes, but it seemed as though we, for whatever reason, we were very, very passive tonight, and we're not nearly as aggressive as I had hoped that we would be. And I thought that there were several periods there where I thought Georgia Tech shot the ball very, very well. And then it seemed as though once we did cut it, we got a little momentum, they seemed to hit some big shots, and you got to give them credit. They outplayed us tonight. This is a loss that won't look very good on our resume, so that means that we got to figure out a way to make up for this with hopefully getting another run of games and being successful.
Leonard, are you concerned with this team's ability against the zone, with the fact that teams are probably going to keep throwing it at you?
Well, not very many people in our league play zone, but we have not done very well against zones the entire year. And it's interesting that we have been excellent teams against zones. And I think our schemes are pretty good over the years. I think it's not as much. I just think that we have a bunch of guys that the majority of our guys are guys who are learning how to position themselves in this environment. So many times there are just simple things that I don't want to be technical. It's just that, how you cut and, I thought we had plenty of lobs. I thought everything we wanted was available. We just didn't execute, take advantage of it. And we did act like a team to still learn how to attack zone. And that's the reality of the situation. We have been very ineffective against zones all year long. And to be honest with you, I kind of like playing against zones, but this year we just have been somewhat tentative, and that's something we got to correct. I don't think we could have been more prepared. I don't think that they did anything that we weren't prepared for, that we didn't work on, that we didn't have in our game plan. But we just didn't go out and execute against it.
Leonard, is Caleb fighting something? I noticed he obviously didn't start the second half and barely played in the second half.
He has some type of infection, some type of throat infection. I don't, what did this? He has some type of throat infection, and I don't know whether strep throat or whether or not something of that nature. The doctor told me, but to be very honest with you, in the heat of the moment, someone told me, but it's an infection, throat infection.
What does that do to the rotation? When obviously you don't have your full allotment of players, Malik's probably a little slowed too. What does that do in the final? Usually you take over games in the final half of the second half, but you didn't maybe have your full complement of parts in this one like you normally do. Well,
Caleb's a little more confident, a little more assertive than some of the less experienced guys, and I think I like our schemes. I really do. I thought we were prepared, but if for whatever reason our guys were this zone made them extremely tentative, and not having Caleb. Obviously he's a big part. He makes big shots for us and kind of gets everybody else going. But I want to give them credit, and not as much about what we didn't do as much about. I thought they had a good game plan, and they have, even if you go back and look at the games that they've lost, they've had near victories against a lot of people. 3-point loss here, 4-point loss there. They've had a couple of games where they lost by big margins, but they've been just about there in every game. And so this is probably a team, even though they last in our league, they probably a little better than you think. And just like that's the way most of the teams are. I just think that this is the league is taking on a different projecting image But I think on any given night, if you're not ready to play at your very, very best, you can lose a game like what we lost tonight. And what we have to do now is go back and prepare ourselves for Virginia Tech, because they're going to be hungry for a victory too. I think they lost on the last second shot tonight. And so that's the nature of this league. You can't have periods in games where you just don't execute. You got to play hard, you got to play unselfish, you got to defend, but you got to execute. And tonight, our execution against the zone was not very good.
Any more questions for Coach?
Leonard, is it one common thing? Like it just not getting in the middle of the zone? It seemed like Matt Cleveland did a pretty good job in the middle of the zone of finding guys. But other than that, was it just not getting in, maybe penetrating or getting in the middle like you wanted?
I think it's a combination of all of it. You can't flash into the middle of the zone and just stand. You can't walk in there. You got to cut in and out to the baseline, to the top of the key, to the wing. You got to be extremely versatile. They play their wings awful high, and we had plenty of opportunities to throw over and get lobs, and we were not very aggressive in that. And you're not going to get all the way to the basket when you're playing against a zone like that, but you can get in the lane and call them collapse, and then you find your teammates. But tonight we were for whatever reason, we was passing the ball around the horn, and I asked the players, what did they think was the issue, and they said, well, the guy in the middle of the lane, created a problem for him. And it wasn't like we didn't know that. We watched a whole lot of film. We knew exactly where they were going to be. But that's the learning process. That's where we are. And I said all along, I was always concerned that our team would be dominated by first-year guys and not nearly as many veterans as we normally have been accustomed to having. And I just think that we have our moments where we show that we're vulnerable and we're still learning how to do things correctly. And this was another one of them.
Defensively in the second half, did you like what you did there? I think they hit 1-3 until the final 2 minutes of the second half after hitting 8 in the first.
Well, I think having Malik on the floor where we didn't have so much help and recover, we contained the dribble a lot better. And they weren't finding as many holes to get in and to get the kick out. So that really made a big difference. But, obviously we've been a team that has utilized our big guys. And I thought Naheem played one of his better games tonight. You can show what his potential, is. So I like that. But containing the dribble against a team that really isolates as much as they do. They're a team that they run a little offense and then they isolate and they spread the floor. And that system is not one that we utilize, but that's what they do best. And they happen to have 2 or 3 guys that, unless you're protecting the rim, a lot better than we are right now, they'll be able to do what they did tonight, get in and get kickouts, and they made 12 threes. Is that what they did?
10 threes.
10. So it felt like it was 15. But we'll bounce back. We always do.
And my last question, overall, how good is it to see, because we all know he can shoot really well, Anthony knocking down all his open shots tonight? Well,
Anthony, once again, it's not as much as Anthony knocking down as who was getting the ball to him. The inconsistency of our movement, I thought really kept him from getting the looks that he can make. And we've had a lot of close wins, but that's kind of who we are. We're a team that's still growing and developing, and I like being old, and right now we're not very old. All right, thank you, fellas.
Oh, go ahead. You're fine, Lynn.
No, I got time. What's up?
Sorry. You talked about Malik. It seemed like maybe tweak that ankle again in the first half? I know it's something is he just gonna be dealing with that to some extent the rest of the year?
No
and I guess how difficult does that make game planning and then in-game management of him?
It makes it very difficult. That's the challenges that we are dealing with. And other folks have dealt with it, but this is what we have this year. We gotta stay focused and try to utilize him the best way we can. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, Len.